Hi friends, welcome back to Farm Girl Diaries. We're in the garden today. We haven't been in the garden for a while together. I planned to bring you guys along for everything I did in the garden, and life got busy. The weather kind of got very cold, so I upped all of my plans, and then the weather's warming out again. So we're in the garden today, so I thought I'd show you what we're doing. So this is my, I think, 6th year heavily gardening to the extent that I do. My garden has grown almost every single year, so I haven't been gardening on this level every single year for 6 years, but I have been gardening in some capacity for 7 years. The first year was a failure though, so we really only count 6 years. But I'm gonna kind of spin you around and show you. I have been growing in a fairly large space for at least this space, that what you see here, for at least 3 years. I think 3 years ago I added what I call the pasture back there, the field. 2 years ago I added this space, but largely this space I've been growing in for a number of years now. And all of that to say is I'm always amazed at how fast this garden goes to bed. So we are in middle of October, and I'll be honest, I was ready to put this garden to bed in August. We had a very, very hot summer. Typically in August is when we get stupidly hot, and we got stupidly hot in July. So when we get stupidly hot, and we also had a drought, my plants did grow. We had a great production year, but the weeds just went haywire. So I was so ready to reclaim this space. I really like the garden in the early spring when it's organized and the plants are still small and it doesn't look like a crazy mess. So I was ready to put this garden to bed, but it always amazes me how fast this garden goes to bed. And particularly this year, we'll walk over here and I'll show you. I already have a good chunk of this garden put to bed, and I'm going to show you what I don't have put to bed, and I'm going to explain why. But I have the majority of it put to bed. So I have the whole, this is where the sweet potatoes were, and my bean trellis. We got rid of that. That is all gone. A spider dangling from my hand. I do have to cut the trellis off of my stake. The trellis is going to go in the garbage this year. That trellis is probably about 5 years old. I'll come over and I'll show you. This trellis has been through the ringer. It's just plastic. It has holes in it. And it is just kind of been through the ringer. So I don't think I'm going to get another year out of it. And at that point, for the price I paid for it, I'm okay with that. So we're going to redo, excuse me, we're going to redo the bean trellis for next year. But I have the sweet potato aisle put to bed, and then I have this entire space put to bed. I still need to come over and work in this space, but I've pulled all the peppers at least. I am going to come in. If you're new to my channel, I really struggled this year with thistle. Well, I struggle every year with thistle, and so this year I decided I was going to spray the thistle, and so I have been spraying it. But that thistle over here, let me show you one more time. All this greenery that you see is thistle, and I had my peppers all right in here, so I didn't spray because of the peppers. But I am going to spray it one more time before winter, and then I am going to spread some straw into this space here. So I need to do that. I still have, these are 2 massive cherry tomatoes, and they are still loaded with tomatoes. I have pulled out, oh that's bright, I have pulled out all of the rest of my tomatoes, and I'm actively eating through them. I might actually make some tonight for dinner, a tomato soup tonight for dinner. But let me turn you around and show you. These tomato plants are just loaded with tomatoes. And I mean, and they look great. They all look fantastic. And so this cherry tomato goes the whole way over here, and then it goes the whole way over here. So 2 very distinct tomatoes. You can see the orange one, that's a red one, and this is the orange one, and you can see the orange one is going over there too, but that's taking up a good amount of space. So I don't think we had our first frost. If we did, it wasn't damaging. We got to 34. I know 2 nights ago we were at 34. So it was cold. So everything has been ripped out, but this week is supposed to be warm again. We're back in the 70s. It's been actually very cold. It's been very cold. I'm about ready to dig out my parka, and this week it is going to be in the mid 70s all week, which is perfect fall weather. So I'm leaving the tomatoes until kind of the last minute, because right now too, I kind of get back in early spring, and then right now I get back in the swing of I want a lot of salads. And so I really want to keep those cherry tomatoes as long as I can so that I can have salads. I am somebody who I eat what's coming in out of the garden. And so once the tomatoes are done, I don't have any more tomatoes until spring. Or I don't have any tomatoes, I guess, until they're coming in. So June or July. So it'll be a long time until I have a fresh tomato. Today, there's nothing to see, but I'll walk you up and I'll show you. My strawberry bed is doing really good. I planted, so I have an Everbearing strawberry, and I just planted a June Barren strawberry, and all those plants are doing fantastic. But the reason I like the Everbearing strawberry is because they do produce strawberries all year long. So today I had a nice big fat strawberry. It was so good. So again, I only eat fresh strawberries when they're coming in June. And so that's why I really like having these Everbearings. So you get that little taste of strawberry throughout the year. Then again, I'm ready for June for fresh strawberries because that was delicious. And there is nothing, I've had people say just go to the store and buy strawberries. No. A vine ripened strawberry and a store-bought strawberry are not the same thing. Not the same thing. Until you've had one that has been able to ripen fully on the vine, you have no idea what you're missing. So these strawberries, I am just going to cover with some leaves. I have had great success overwintering my strawberries. So I'm going to just cover them with leaves, maybe a little bit of straw. You want to make sure that they don't like kind of compact. So I'm going to kind of tear up the leaves so I don't just form like a leaf barrier. But they should be fine. Just mixture of leaves and straw and make sure they're covered really, really well. They're going to be just fine. So I have those going. I am going to fertilize them before I put them to bed, but then they'll go to bed here the next couple of weeks. I want to kind of leave them go as long as I can. So they're just soaking up that sunshine and there's nutrients. But I've put these 2 beds to bed already. I fertilized everything. So I fertilized with azomite. So I did a heavy sprinkling of azomite and I put straw. I'm going to go pick up some leaves from the farm tomorrow to put my leaves down. I have a couple of carrots in that bed. I leave the carrots until I'm ready to pick. But other than that, those beds are put together or put to bed. Oh, that's great. So let's go this way. And then this was my potato bed this year. I have a couple of things of lettuce, and for the most part, they are bolting. I did snap some of the tops off. I'm gonna go in and snap the tops off again and see if I can't get that to give me some more lettuce to last me a little bit longer into the season. But I think that for the most part it might be done, which I don't really understand because it's cool enough. It should still be growing well, but it's not. It just wants to bolt. But the potato bed is put to bed. And then back here, I have this bed and this bed. So let's talk about these beds. This bed is kind of put to bed, but I have some carrots growing. So I don't really want to cover that too much with straw. So I'm kind of I threw a little bit of straw where there was no carrots, and that's going to be what it's going to be. And then over in this bed, I don't really know what's going on over here. I think it's a lot of tomato. So I'm kind of waiting until I yank out the tomato, and then I kind of put that bed and then this section of that bed to bed for the winter. So that's kind of waiting. And then, oh, I have one more thing to show you. And then this area, we already kind of put to bed. This was our brassica area where we had a ton of slugs eat all of our plants. So I do just see now I have a couple, I think I've been ignoring it. I think because it's right by the tomatoes. I just assume anything green over here is tomatoes. So I do see I have to come yank out. This is an old cauliflower. That's an old cabbage. That's not going to give me anything. But look at this cauliflower. Isn't that just gorgeous? I've never grown a purple cauliflower. And then down here, I have a little cabbage starting to head up. So that might give me a cabbage before the end of the year. And so this has been great. I have never had success growing cauliflower, ever. And I planted those cauliflowers. I planted actually like 12 of them back in the spring. They got eaten by the slugs. Where did I go to get out of the sun? They got eaten by the slugs. A couple of them fought and survived. So the one I said I have to yank out, that gave me a small head and then a whole bunch of florets. That purple one is fantastic, and then I got a yellow one that I actually just picked. That one was a little ugly. It had a little bit of black spots on it, so like every cauliflower, we just cut all that off. But that purple cauliflower looks fantastic. So I'm very, very excited that that was able to grow. And so I've not been able to grow a white cauliflower. They was always blanched for me, but I was able to grow a purple one and a yellow one. So I may not be a great cauliflower farmer, but I at least am a cauliflower farmer. And then only other thing that I need to show you is the pond. The pond is almost out of water at this point. I had frogs living in it. I haven't seen my frogs lately, so I think they might have, I don't know what frogs do during winter. Do they like hide? Do they go underground, or do they just stay out all winter? I don't know. But I had frogs in there. I think the frogs have left for, I'm hoping just the winter, and I'm hoping next spring they come back. But I'm not actively keeping that pond filled at this point. I'm just letting Mother Nature fill it if she feels the need. And then that bed there is completely put to bed. And so these are my snap pea trellises. I grow my snap peas on there. I will not leave those snap peas, that trellis there. I will not grow snap peas there next year. I will move it. But I always move that in the spring, because I never know where I want to grow things the following year. So we'll move that in the spring. But I am just amazed at how fast this garden came together. I always feel like there's so much to do. It's going to take so much time, but I honestly don't even know how this garden came together as fast as it did. And I'm not complaining. Like, the work I need to do out here is at this point kind of minimal. So I'm happy that I apparently got a lot of work done. But the garden season is basically at its end. I'm gonna soak up those tomatoes as long as I can, but that's really that, and a little bit of lettuce and a cauliflower and a cabbage. Oh, and a few carrots. So I guess I still have some food in here. It's not foodless, but she is looking empty and bare, and she is ready for her long rest. And I like to kind of sit out in the garden at the end of the season and just like kind of thank the garden. I do it in my head. I don't talk out loud to myself all the time, but like, this garden grows me a lot of food, and this is how I'm able to survive. The economy right now, I think, is terrible. I think prices are expensive, and as a single person, I am barely surviving. And the fact that I can grow so much of my own food has really, I think, really helped me. I don't spend a lot at the grocery store. I, at this point, could honestly probably not go to the grocery store and just, well, I have a lot stocked up. I buy stuff when it's on sale and all that stuff, but the food that comes out of my garden has really helped me really drastically cut down my grocery bill. And that's honestly how this all started. I just wanted to grow my own food for the sake of growing my own food, and it has wildly grown into this life-changing thing. I grow so much food that I can turn into so many more things that I ever thought I could. And then I can take those items, like canned potatoes maybe, and turn it into something I never would have imagined. So being able to grow this garden has 100% helped my budget. And it's been so rewarding to be able to do this. And I will say, I watch all those YouTubes of people that have money that make a lot of money on their YouTubes, and they have these gorgeous gardens, and they're able to truck in the compost and the manure and new soil, and they're able to spend the money on their garden. And I would just like to say, I'm not able to spend the money on my garden. I spend very little on my garden each year. I know next year I need to get compost in every single one of my beds. My beds are starting to get a little depleted soil wise, so we need to replenish all of our beds, but I don't spend a lot of money on my garden. So I kind of feel sometimes that when you watch other people and you watch the more successful gardeners, they spend a lot more money, and they have a lot more money, and they tell you that you have to spend the money in order to get the results. And I start the year with good intentions of fertilizing every other week, and that doesn't happen. But I will say, when I plant like a pepper, for instance, let's say if I fertilized it and I had great soil and it was in the best care that it could ever get, it would give me, let's say, 50 pounds of peppers. With kind of not poor soil, I have good soil, but I don't have great soil. And I don't fertilize that well, and I honestly don't water that well. Come like end of June, Mother Nature does all the watering for me. But so with those not ideal conditions, instead of getting maybe 50 pounds of peppers, I still get 25 pounds of peppers. So even if you don't have the money to do it the best way, this is a garden that still produces fantastically. Every time I go to plant in my soil, I look at my soil, and my soil is alive, but it's not like a robust city. It's alive, but it's maybe like a poor little city, but it still grows me great food. And so I definitely struggle sometimes with the fact of, I know it needs more and I know what it needs. I just don't have the resources to be able to buy what it needs. And so sometimes that gets to be a little overwhelming, because why do it if your soil is not great? Why do all this time if your soil is not great? Well, I'm here to tell you, do it. Things still will grow. So this is a garden that I don't put that much money into, like I said, and I am still able to harvest a ton of food. And yes, if I had excellent soil, could I probably have doubled what I grew? Probably. But it's still more than enough for me. It's more than enough for my family. It's more than enough to put back for the next 2 years. It's still more than worth it. So I always like to sit out here and just kind of thank the garden for all the hard work it does. It's this little space has been definitely a lifesaver for me. So I want to thank you guys for coming along for this garden season. We will still be out here, I'm sure, especially I'll bring you guys, or I'll show you guys at some point when the tomatoes come out, and we put that to bed. And we'll probably still be out here because I need to start planning for next year. So it is the middle of October, and we will be starting some seeds in November. I'm going to start some of my flower seeds in November, and then we'll be starting our plants in middle of January. So we have only a couple months rest before we're back in garden season getting ready for 2025. So we will be out here, I'm sure, in days to come, just kind of figuring out where we want everything, because I don't know where everything is going next year, and I have to figure that out. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you in the next video. This is a wrap to the 2025 garden season. It's been great. Bye, friends.